Bosold from Move to Amend to the podium.
First of all, I really want to recognize everybody who's preceded me. How about that last presentation? Not to mention the one just before that. It's terrific lineup today. Compliments to the organizers of the event. I am here to spend 5 minutes raising hell. And the reason I'm going to do that is because, the last couple of speakers, you heard what they said. The legislature is just not doing this. The regulators just aren't doing this. They're not listening to us. Why is that? How did we ever wind up with the situation that we have in the state of Iowa? I'm on the board of JFAN and was fighting the battle in Jefferson County before that organization was even formed. And it's just, we just keep hitting the wall. Why? I'm here to answer that question for you. Ever heard of follow the money? Well, you might think, what's that really got to do with all the stuff we have to do to address this particular issue? It seems to have everything to do with it. House File 519 was mentioned a little earlier. That was bought and paid for by special interest money. They knew what they were doing. There were people in the legislature who tried to stop it. It was way too powerful. They had too much money behind them. They got their bill. Ag land was exempted from local control, and whammo, the floodgates were open to confinements. The rest is history. In Iowa, in 2019-2020 election cycle, State House of Representatives, 100 seats, $30 million in campaign money was collected and spent. 1 year. The Senate, 50 seats, $11,500,000. No offense to the legislator who is here.
I don't take any of that corporate money.
Okay, good. A round of applause, please. How many of your fellow legislators can say that?
You'll have to ask them, but I'm guessing lots of them do.
Right, especially when you get into the committee chairs and so on. Dave Osterberg spoke a little earlier. He could do a campaign, spend, I think he said 12 to 15, maybe $18,000. The seat that he occupied now goes for $350,000, ladies and gentlemen. And the thing is, take a look at the history of what has happened to people in laws that have tried to put a stop to this. All declared unconstitutional. It's because corporations have First Amendment free speech rights. The same rights that we do, okay? In terms of CAFOs, just for the judges especially, Kim Reynolds, $300,000 in campaign contributions from Iowa Select. Well, when the slaughterhouses were hothouses for COVID, and the question was coming up, we should close these things down. This is nuts. Why did they keep going? Well, Iowa Select happens to have given quite a lot of money to Kim Reynolds, and when the question came up, well, are we going to stop slaughterhouse production, which would mean that they'd lose Lord knows how many millions of dollars in the CAFO industry, Iowa Select in particular? It ain't going to happen, and it didn't, okay? That is money talking in politics. It's everywhere. There's two things that are involved here, and the thing you need to know is there are solutions. Last week I was up here and Ames picked up the paper. We just finished the primaries, and Mike Franken won the Democratic nomination. By primary election day, Franken had outspent Abby Finkenauer, the leader in the beginning, roughly 5-1 on television and digital advertising, helping to close the gap in name recognition he faced at the race's outset. Who gave that money? What are they expecting in return? Let's just say we get a Democrat replacing Chuck Grassley. What can you expect from somebody who's taken that kind of money? These are the questions we need to keep asking ourselves. The reason I was asked to come here today is because it's the least apparent issue in this entire discussion, and it is probably the one that affects the outcomes the most. So, here's what I need you to know. There's an organization called Move to Amend that has long since recognized this issue. They are supporting a We the People constitutional amendment to the United States Constitution. That will do two things. It declares, first of all, that governments shall regulate finance in political campaigns. That will give we the people the right to say, you can't take $1 million or $10 million or $100 million from special interest and industry groups that will then proceed to say, you'll do what we say, we'll keep you in office. If you don't, we'll support your opponents, you're out. It works. The other thing is they have constitutional rights. The second half of this amendment says that corporations are not natural persons, and as such, they no longer have the right to any constitutional rights. First Amendment, Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment. Yeah. I brought some brochures, I put them out on the information table, please take one. And as you go about the good work that all of you are doing on this issue, whenever you can, support this amendment. It's got 63 co-sponsors in the US House and Senate right now. And if we get this done, we're going to be able to get all the rest of it done. If we don't, there's a very high probability that we won't.
Any questions for Patrick from the judges? Sounds great. Thank you so much.